Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. How is everybody doing this morning? Hopefully everybody doing just fine. Good morning. So we're going to get started here in just a second. Good morning, good morning, good morning. How's everybody doing? What's going on? All right, so we'll talk about pretty much a little bit of everything. So let me get into sharing the screen here in just a second. Is the volume coming through okay? Everybody can hear it just fine. Purpose of this live is basically we are going to run through stuff on the stock market. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Okay, so let's get started. That's better. Okay. So let's start with, we're going to start with Disney today. So Disney had their earnings report today. Okay. And let me get into sharing the screen here just a second. So Disney ended up reporting earnings, okay? And now, pretty much the hype around Disney's earnings right now is going to be their subscription fees, pretty much the amount of people that just signed up for Disney Plus, okay? So right now, chart's looking pretty good. So far, things look pretty good on Disney this morning from the earnings report. I'll talk a little bit about their subscription fees to Disney Plus. So there's 28 million users to Disney Plus. Okay, so they got 28 million users to Disney Plus. If you're a Verizon customer and you have unlimited data, there was a special or a deal, and I don't know if it's still going on, but when I signed up for Disney Plus, I got a year for free because I was a Verizon unlimited data customer. So that would allow me to get a full year for free, don't have to pay. But when the year is up, of course, I'm going to have to pay, right? They're going to make me pay. So unless I cancel that membership, I'll end up paying. Now, the number that they reported was 28 million. So my first thought is that 28 million include all the free subscriptions that are coming from Verizon customers. And Verizon has 118 million customers altogether as a whole of the company. So there's a lot of people that have unlimited data. So was that number being influenced by the free subscriptions from Verizon? After looking into the financial report, the revenue does meet that of 28 million customers. So the numbers reported do in fact relate to having 28 million paid customers. So then I was like, that's a bonus, right? Because that's not the free. Now it's like, well, what about that, right? What about next year when everybody who got the free subscription through Verizon doesn't cancel it or they do keep it? Are we going to add another 5 million, 10 million? So that's kind of the question to dive into right now, is figuring out maybe how many people have the unlimited plan from Verizon and how many people have actually used that special offer for being a Verizon customer and getting the free subscription, because that could drastically change the subscription numbers just by next year alone into 2021 around December, January. Probably January would be the case because Disney Plus, I think, started in December. I could be wrong. But right around like December or January of next year, we should really get a good idea of how much those numbers jump, right? So that's kind of where I'm at with Disney. So charts look good. I'm not against the charts here on Disney. They just came off a pretty harsh pullback, but that was probably also because of coronavirus. So I think this is actually a pretty good buying opportunity in the sense that a lot of the down move that you've seen on Disney over the past week or so had really come from the coronavirus scare in China. And so China's stock market gapped down big, but it's recovered really well so far. Our markets are playing really well. The good numbers, I mean, I think that the last down move we've seen was really just a mix of a lot of news that, in other words, if hadn't happened, Disney would look even better, right? So I'm not against Disney here. I kind of like Disney. So take that for what it's worth. All right, on to What was my other one this morning? I was going to touch on LK. LK is very similar to Disney in the sense that we had the harsh. Well, actually, this is actually kind of a beast in its own. So I got to run through this one because it's really interesting too. So this was my main pick for yesterday. This is what I traded in the group with our traders. I ended up making a couple $1,000, about like 14 or 1500 by the end of the day. So this one wasn't bad. It gave us a little bit of a tug in the beginning in the morning where I got faked out. Was it once? Like once or twice, but then I got it. I was like, all right, I knew it, but so it did throw me for a tug early in the morning yesterday. But LK was my pick for yesterday. It did perform well. The reason I liked LK is because this is another stock that had been kind of affected from the news of the coronavirus, right? So we had the news from the coronavirus, and this had a drastic pullback, okay? And then this last day or so, when you see this 10-point drop, so this big red candle that dropped from 36 down to 26, that happened from an alleged fraud that's being talked about that's not even real now. So it's almost like that didn't even really happen. So I knew this one would probably be primed for a bounce. We went through a really drastic pullback. There's a lot of hype surrounding this stock, supposed to be the Starbucks of China. So there's like this like big hype and imagination that it's going to be a new Starbucks, but in China. So there's just kind of a lot of interesting factors going on with that one. So we've been seeing some pretty good trading in volume and activity in the stock LK. And I do think we're going to see that going higher. I did buy a couple shares long-term down there as it dipped down. But in terms of trading it, I think today would be a pretty good day to watch it in case. I'm not super go-lucky about it, but I think it's worth watching given the fact that coronavirus, given the fact that it had a potential alleged fraud, but it turns out might not be a potential alleged fraud. And then the big guy Citron Research is saying go long, price target is 60. There's too much interesting factors at play here not to be watching it on the day. I think it doesn't. I think it's an interesting player at that right now. For right now, I think it's an interesting stock right now. Okay, and then I'll calm down there. We were on a roll. I like that. That was good. That was fun. So let's see. We got BYND, ENPH, $34 price target on ENPH. Yeah. I've always had one, but now it's like a little bit closer. I changed my setup. I don't know why I didn't do this before, but I'm really digging this new setup that I'm doing here. I used to have all this split up, so like my whole. You guys are basically seeing everything. There's a screen here, mic here, screen here, and then you can see all the other stuff. So there's a lot going on. This is my layer. Okay, this has been a lot of years working and doing all of this. I love this. I love this place. This is my home. Okay, this is where I feel comfortable. I like it here. Okay. Now, let's see what else we got going on here. So you see Tesla, VVUS. Let me run through a couple of these really quick for you guys. We can't spend an extraordinary amount of time on them because we want to get through a good couple of them. So I'll just give my best input as quickly as I can for what it's worth, right? And that's to kind of get through things as quickly as we can. Why did I type in Tesla like that? That's a dummy move. So I put up a podcast last night. We put up a podcast. You should really go and watch that. I can tell you right now just to skip to the end. If you want to learn anything about Tesla, you just skip right to the end of the podcast, maybe like 5 minutes or so at the end. If you want to learn about Tesla. If you want to hear about one of the traders in our group, Brian, then you listen to the beginning of it. But we went over a lot of cool stuff about Tesla in that podcast yesterday. I think right now in the macro, real short term, very, very short term, maybe week, 2 weeks, I think that I'm starting to shift to that bearish sentiment for myself. I think it makes most sense to be bearish on it right now, not really being long. I just can't see the long. I think not that it can't keep going, right? I'm not saying it can't, but the risk to reward is not worth it for me to be long at that price. Starting long, it doesn't make sense for me. If you were thinking extraordinary long-term $10,000 a share, then sure, but still no, because you can probably still get a better price if you would just wait a little bit, right? The likelihood it keeps going and going and going, it's just not, it's a bubble. In the short term, it's definitely a bubble. And that's okay. Tesla, I'm going to do my own research on it more so than I ever have before. I feel like a dummy for missing it, but it is what it is. You live and you learn, you move on, right? I don't get FOMO though. That's one thing I don't get. It's like, yeah, I wish I would have been a part of it, but that's okay. I knew my analysis on LK. I've been following, a couple. I've been doing fine, right? But I do. It's like people have made a killing. Congratulations to everyone. Everyone who caught it, like, super great job. Absolutely. But I also know a bubble when I see one. Not my first bubble. I shorted Tilray, the weed stock, at like 270 and caught a 150 point short in like 20 minutes and made 20 grand like a couple years back, whenever that was. I don't know, it was like 2 years, right? I'm not that amazing, but I know a bubble when I see one. This bubble's the same as they all are, but there are different circumstances because of the company that Tesla is. Because everybody knew what marijuana was before it ever even hit the market, it wasn't hard for marijuana to grab attention really, really quickly because everybody knows what it is, right? That's what caught marijuana so fast, right? Tesla's been building up to this, right, for a long time. So, anyways, in that respect, I think right now in the short term, it makes sense to be short bias. I don't really, and look at what we had over the past 2 days. Ready? Watch this. Look at this. Look at this bearish divergence. Watch this. Going up. So we have a high here. We keep going into a new high on Tesla over the past, let's call it 2 days. And look at your momentum. Your momentum's trailing down. So we're seeing less momentum going upwards into that high of like 900 to 1,000. I'm going to put something else on my chart. Give me a quick second, and then we're going to wrap up on Tesla. Why did I see? Look, I typed in Tesla right there. Hold on. There we go. Okay, hold on. I gotta change that around. Maybe can I? Yeah, I'll pull it up there. No, down there. No, you go down. Yeah. Why don't you do that? Oh, that's kind of annoying. What if I do that and I do this? Can't fool me. Can't fool me. Anyway, so now we're going to go to a daily chart. And, I mean, have you guys ever gone on Google and just typed in candlestick patterns? I mean, this is like the picture perfect. Like, if you went to Google right now and looked up, like, bearish candlestick formations, that would be the first thing that you see on Google. Literally. Okay, maybe not the first thing. But if you typed in like hammer, candle, or I don't even remember the names of them because I don't even have to anymore. I just know them. But if you go and look at Google and type in like bearish, like reversal signals, that would be the forefront of Google right now. That would be screaming at you, right? So it's like you can't really ignore that signal as much as you want to, right? Even if it doesn't pan out, it's like that's just way too clean of a bearish signal, right? So you got a doji. You have a doji, a 50-50 at going to 1,000. 50% of the people said meh. 50% of the people said meh. It's like meh. Probably not going to be long there. Now we go down and look at the volume. Right? Look at the volume. I mean, this you guys don't have. Some of you don't have this. That's okay. Don't worry. I just opened up a whole new discussion there, but it's okay. This candle that you see, right? It's red-green. Basically, put it this way. Yesterday, it traded 60 million shares, Tesla. Out of the 60 million, that means that, like, actually, I can't do the math right now. I'd be wrong. I'll make myself look like an idiot, but I could probably estimate it. But anyways, it doesn't matter. 60% of all the volume out of yesterday was selling volume. 40% was buying. Actually, 39% was buying. 61% was selling. So even though the day looks like it's 50-50 and it's green, even though it's green on the day, it still had more of a bearish selling day. Hard to ignore that factor, right? So, and what else do you have? You have a gap here of like 100 points, right? 778 to 835, 770. So you got a $60 gap there. Like, exhaustion gap? Probably. So I'm bearish. I hope it keeps going up. I hope it just keeps skyrocketing, honestly. I would love to see it so that everybody else still long on it can just keep making a killing, right? That's it. I hope it keeps going up. I do. I would love to see it. Right? So now, you know what? Now that it's such a hot talking point, let me hammer something else here. If it is, okay, so if it isn't a bubble, which it is, but if it weren't, and it just kept going, great. But what it is most likely is a bubble. And when it pops, how do you go about trading it? What are you looking for, right? Because that's the main question. I could say it's a bubble, and it's like, oh, well, like you're in it, but what's that going to do, right? So the way bubbles naturally work, to some degree, but pretty much this is how they always happen, right? They're going to bubble out. Then, like, right when you think it's the top, it's not the top. And then it gets really, really big, right? That's what happens, right? Look at the selling here, right? Pull back, pull back, pull back, squeeze out, right? So it's like short. You're getting a lot of tug there, right? So like remember the news saying that like 2.5 billion was lost by short sellers, and it's probably more, but basically short sellers are losing like $3-4 billion shorting it. That's who that is, right? Everybody that was betting against it getting mixed in with all the longs and the computer algorithms bidding up the stock. I mean, those shorts just got annihilated. And that's what makes that really big rush back up right at the top. Because look at it, looked like it was the top. But that wasn't the top because we had to squeeze out everybody that was betting against it. And now, when it looks so crazy and all good, everyone's thinking all the usually a little more uneducated or people that are still trying to make some dollars on the top, which is fine. They'll try to rush in and catch something there, and then you trap a bunch of longs, and then it comes down really hard. And when you have all these really big gaps going up in the chart, gaps are like magnets, and the stock loves to go right back to where that gap is and fill it, right? So normally we'll see if this is a bubble, which they normally are, and the way they normally work is you're going to see this crash about 50%, sort of. If we topped at 968, we've already come down like 20 some odd percent. So from about 885, you would probably see it, at least 7. I could say 7, 650 to even 550s. I wouldn't say 500 to 448. That's too far. Would most likely not get there in one swift crash. You probably have to keep it in a zone of like anywhere from like 700. It pretty much, yeah. I mean, it's more like 700 down to 550. I would say that's a respectable zone. Further you go down, less respectable, but still possible. So we'll see. Not to scare anybody, but again, like for example, right? Like where do you think this thing's at in trend? Like the stocks like to trend. That's the normal thing. Like so, where's the trend? I mean, could you can make that one? I mean, even if it was this one, like even if you were going through the middle of all that, like that's where the trend's at. 657 right there. So if we came straight down, you're right at about 657, right? If you're a fib trader and you're play on fibs, I mean, you're basically 50% continuation retracement, 700, 5, 6, 650. So I think that's where a logical buying point would be too. I think that's where we're going, right? So, anyways, you guys get the point. Let's see. It's on our that volume study's on the homepage of our website. Just go there. And let me tell you, it is an email tactic campaign. We put free services up there, like those things, and all we ask is for your email. So yeah, maybe one day you will sign up for one of our services we offer when you send you a sales email, or maybe you'll just like getting the free watch list that we send out from time to time when Connor actually remembers to do his job in the morning and send the email out. And maybe you like that, right? Maybe you'll like the tip we give on gold, And so that's just another way that we grow our business and keep everybody involved in the Boiler Room Trading Network. So if you like it, you hate me for it, you don't have to do it, right? That's just the way it works. And that's just me being upfront and honest with you, right? So now, what are we on to next? What's the time here? 8:57. What else is moving? I mean, I don't really. That's basically it. That's basically where my mind's at this morning on the research and analysis. I will soon here do some more research on. We're gonna be taking more of a deeper look into Tesla. Definitely. I mean, I've already known about, but I don't. I mean, I don't know about them enough. I mean, with all the hype going around it, why not take the time to research them even more in depth? I mean, and really dive deep into them. And I got some other interesting things I'll be looking at here in the near term future. Where's my? I mean, definitely think areas of. I mean, if we just think of future, right? If we think towards the future, I'm not the most genius of a man, but I do use my brain. I mean, if we're looking towards the future, I mean, you got to think, what are we looking at? Robotics, maybe? Artificial intelligence, no doubt. I think healthcare would still hit top of the books. You never can't. Everybody wants to live for forever, so until you figure out how everybody can live for forever, there's always going to be a need for healthcare and the advancements of healthcare. I mean, that's no doubt there, right? So, which might end up falling back into robotics anyways, because if things really keep advancing, then it's probably going to be more computers and maybe even robotic things doing a lot of the healthcare. So you might even be able to tie that into one. So that's where my head's at for the future on those guys. So. It went up because of the Cybertruck. I mean, yeah, definitely. I mean, like, dude, the Cybertruck. I like the Cybertruck. I don't know about you. I like the Cybertruck. I mean, not that it's the most appealing looking car. I mean, it still looks like ugly, but kind of cool. Because you have to understand, it's kind of like the future. So it's like you're kind of buying the future. So that's kind, and that's the whole thing about buying a product. It's not just what you're getting. It's everything that surrounds it. I mean, like, that's why somebody buys a Gucci bag, right? That's why somebody buys a Louis Vuitton bag. I mean, it's the dumbest purchase in the world. Seriously, it is. But if you do it, I still love you for it. That's okay, because I have to have somebody else buy the Gucci bag in order to invest in Gucci stock, right? Like, even though I won't buy a Ferrari, probably. I mean, I don't really like the car in general. I mean, some are cool, but I need somebody else to buy the car so that the stock price can keep going up for me, right? So I love you. Right? I need you. We're a team, right? But that's what you're buying when you buy a Gucci bag. You're buying the purse. You're buying the hype around it. You're buying with the talking point. You're buying the new. That's what you're buying. You're buying that hype, right? So that's it, right? And I was talking to my buddy Shane the other day, and what were we looking? We were looking at. I can't remember the name of the car. It's a hypercar from the last Fast and Furious movie that Ludacris has at the end. But anyways, it was like a really expensive car. And I'm like, man, I could just never buy that. Like, it's not even worth that. Like, that what they made the car for, it's not even worth that. He's like, dude, you're buying the engine, you're buying the performance, you're buying the customer service, right? And that's what you have to understand about the whole investing side of things. It's the consumer. You're buying more than just the product, right? But so with the Cybertruck, it's like, yeah, it's this boxy weird thing, but it's kind of sick. It's kind of cool. I like it. And if I like it, I'm sure a lot of other people probably like it. And it's like, the more the younger generations see things like this, that's the world they're going to grow up in, right? They're going to be attached to those sort of things. So even though you might not like it, it doesn't matter what you like. It's what is the world like, right? What is everybody else like? Because again, me and you, we're just a small fraction of the world and who's out there. So it's all about what everybody else likes. And I don't really care for Snapchat, but I know my niece and my nephew do, and all their friends do. And that was like me. We were doing Facebooks and MySpace back in the day. Like, that's what that is. So I think also I am starting to shift my appeal on Snapchat. I used to was like, yeah, but that was because I didn't like it. But a lot of all my friends still use it. They're in their 20s, close to 30s. It's like, and the generation below me just dies for it. So I think that's another appealing platform to definitely monitor for sure. I mean, 5G technology. I don't. I mean, I gotta. That's another thing I gotta look into. I know it's here and I know it's coming, but to me, it didn't like. And I could be wrong. And the reason I never went too far into it is because I thought to myself, okay, if 5G technology, it's like, well, who's gonna control the technology, right? I mean, I know there's some other players in the game, but like, what, AT&T, right? Verizon, or is it another company that provides it? Then they sub it out to Verizon. That I actually don't know, right? I don't know everything, but that I don't know. Is it a private company that is making the 5G technology that then sells it to Verizon, or is it that company is getting royalty off Verizon for selling the patent? So however it works, I don't know the full inner workings, but I would assume that the biggest cell phone companies with the most cell phone towers are going to be the ones that control the 5G. So it's like we already kind of know. To me, that was it. We already kind of know who's going to control that game, right? So to me, it wasn't like you're already investing in you're already buying Verizon. Like I already own Verizon, right? So am I already going to own? Yeah, you know what I'm saying. So I would assume that I'm already going to be involved in that 5G network because that's just going to be the norm for the ongoing future, right? So that's just like, to me, it seems like that's just an advancement on what we already have, right? So it's just like buying the new iPhone XI 20,000 GX9 Plus Serious Crazy plus IR, right? That iPhone that'll probably be out in the next 30 years, or probably tomorrow, actually. That one. It's just like an upgrade on what we already have, is the way that I saw it. I could be wrong. If you know something more than I do, then feel free to share, right? Yeah, exactly. They gotta, yeah. So I'm gonna leave you with this one. I'm gonna leave you with this, and then I gotta split. But there is a theory, or if you want to call it a conspiracy, more so, on how the coronavirus, which don't still pay attention to that. I mean, I feel like the hype's kind of slowed down a bit, but still monitor that situation. But anyways, with the coronavirus, basically in China, there was a theory that a bat, it came from a bat, right? But there was also another theory that it came from a bat that was in a 5G tower, had nested in a 5G tower. In the 5G radio waves, which have been somewhat proven, also maybe up for debate again, that they can kind of they can interact and affect your DNA. That transmission can actually get into affect your DNA, which is why there's been that debate of whether or not it's healthy or safety. But anyways, I'm not the one to decide that. But there's a theory that a bat basically slept in a 5G tower, then basically screwed up its DNA and created and mutated the coronavirus. And that's why it's spreading so fast. And anyway, so that was a theory there, right? So I thought you guys would have fun with that one. So you can take that for what it's worth, right? So fun stuff. With that, ladies and gentlemen, that's all I got for you guys today. Everybody take care. Have a great day. I will be leaving the stream up as soon as the screen goes down. It's just going to be a bunch of stock scanners that you guys can use throughout the day and use as a bit of an extra tool. So everybody take care. Have a great rest of your day. And I will see you guys tomorrow morning. That's when we're going to be seeing you next.